You're in the Stampede, West Virginia Metro News' only show dedicated exclusively to the Thundering Herd. Here's your host, Dave Wilson.
Several developments to talk about over the course of this past week regarding both Marshall men's basketball and the Thundering Herd football program. We'll start with the football program. Both of the featured running backs from 2011 have now left the Marshall football team. First, Trayvon Van, the news broke that he was transferring to Montana. No shock there at all. No shock that Trayvon Van had decided to leave the team. He started the year as the starting tailback, was only averaging about 2.5 yards a carry. And with the emergence of Kevin Grooms and Stuart Butler, Van moved to the defensive side of the ball as a defensive back. I think played one series against Rice, never saw the field again the rest of the season. It was reported that he actually had asked for his release after the Rice game. But Doc Holliday granting that release, he'll go play for the Montana Grizzlies. Now, the news came out Monday that Tron Martinez, the leading rusher from 2011, had been medically disqualified to play for the Thundering Herd. That coming, I guess, is a little bit of a shock. He had off-season knee surgery and was sidelined for the 2012 season, so he has been medically disqualified to play. Marshall will honor his scholarship as long as he remains enrolled at the university. We'll get to the significance of those two running backs leaving the program, which I don't think it's a significant impact. I kind of was already leaning toward the idea that both of those guys, if at least one of them, if not both of them, may think about transferring after the end of the year anyway. With the emergence of Grooms, Butler, and Remy Watson, it just doesn't leave enough carries for 5 running backs during a regular season. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Also this week, learning that DeAndre Kane, guard for Thundering Herd basketball, out indefinitely with a hand injury. This is a major blow to Tom Harrigan's squad. Kane, the leading scorer and really the heartbeat of that basketball team, out indefinitely as Marshall prepares to take on 11th-ranked Cincinnati on Saturday. So to help break down all of this and talk about the significance and the impacts is one of our favorite guests on the show. He's the host of the Insider Sports Line on WRVC in Huntington, Paul Swan. And Paul, let's start first with DeAndre Kane. How big of a deal is this that Kane is out indefinitely at this point?
It's tremendous because you're your leading scorer, a guy who's in the top 5 in assists, and he plays more than anybody else on that team. You're losing a guy who, even though he struggled on the free throw line, he gives you a lot more as far as still a scoring threat. Also, a guy who's a playmaker. So it's a terrible loss from that aspect. But with that said, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for somebody else on that team to step up because really you didn't have a true point guard before. What's the problem now if you look at it that way?
Well, who's going to step up? Who is that guy that can come in and be the player that, I don't want to say replaces, but fills in for DeAndre Kane and makes an impact here while Kane is sidelined?
Well, a lot of people are looking towards DeVinci Boykins as far as the guy who will get some more time. He played a lot in that Coppin State game. He got some good time there. So, that might be where you look to. But at the same time, I think it's right now open for anybody to just step up. It's going to be someone who wants to take that leadership role and to really take advantage of an opportunity. And you hate that the opportunity is there, but at the same time, I think this is where you're going to find who's ready to step up for you.
Talking with Paul Swan, host of the Insider Sports Line on WRVC in Huntington about Thundering Herd basketball. DeAndre Kane out indefinitely. 11th-ranked Cincinnati comes to town, well, sort of, coming to Charleston, playing at the Civic Center on Saturday. Paul, this Marshall basketball team, offensively challenged, I guess, would be a nice way to put it. Over the last several games, we saw what happened against West Virginia in the Capital Classic, pulled out a gutsy win over Coppin State. What needs to be done from your perspective? I know you're an expert basketball analyst there, but what needs to be done to get this offense jump-started a little bit and Marshall to the point where Marshall doesn't need to rely so much on all those offensive and defensive rebounds?
I think it's the style of play. It's going to have to change a little bit because I think that's where Marshall is looking for the points right now. get the ball, make those rebounds. And now, I'm not saying they don't need to, focus on rebounding, but at the same time, I think shot selection could improve. Maybe they play a little up tempo instead of trying to play half courts, and maybe take advantage of some of those athletes out there. I know fans want that fast break style of basketball, and maybe Marshall needs to play just a little bit more. But offensively, you look at what this team is doing. You take DeAndre Kane out with his 15 a game. You've got D.D. Scarver, he's putting in 14.8. You've got Elijah Pittman, who's putting in 14.2. Dennis Timmons getting 11. You've got guys that are scoring, and the problem sometimes is free throws. Those are atrocious for this Thundering Herd team across the board, more so with Kane than anybody. But you look at some of those free throw opportunities, make a few more of those, we're talking about a team that maybe has a better record right now.
But isn't that a mental thing, free throw shooting?
I don't know if it's mental, if it's just poor mechanics, if you need a witch doctor to come in there. I don't know what is going on, because it's not a problem that's it's not uncommon. You see guys have problems all the time from the free throw line, and I don't know if constant practicing is going to do it or just magnify the problem. Everyone who ever addressed the subject says you just got to go out there and make a few baskets. But the problem is, how do you go out there and make a few baskets?
Talking with Paul Swan, host of the Insider Sports Line on WRVC. And I don't want to play psychologist or psychiatrist or head doctor or anything like that, Paul, but just from the outside looking in, just observing and watching, and in the Capital Classic especially, you got the feeling that frustration was building from the missed free throws, from the missed putbacks. And really, I don't know if I want to say the pressure got to them in that ball game, but it felt like the pressure got to them. Is that something you've noticed on the floor?
If you're talking about that specific game, I think both teams pour out a lot of energy into that game, but for some reason, it always seems to affect Marshall. You look at the performance against Coppin State afterwards. That was one of the worst performances of the year. They get the victory, and you take that. But Coppin State was a team that had won one game coming in, period. This was not a team that you thought would take Marshall to the brink. They're an okay team. I don't want to take anything away from them, but they definitely took advantage of a team that right now is depleted depth-wise, probably wore out a little bit from that West Virginia game. And you look at what they were able to do against Coppin State, they couldn't really improve. I mean, they were drained, it looked like.
That's one of the reasons, quite frankly, having that Capital Classic game in December, much better for the Herd overall than having in January. Coppin State, your bounce-back game, not Memphis or UCF. Paul, switching gears just a little bit, Tron Martinez, Trayvon Van, the featured tailbacks for Marshall football back in the 2011 season, gone. Van transferring, and Tron Martinez medically disqualified. Is that really that big of a deal at this point?
No, it's not a deal at all. Kevin Grimm, Stuart Butler, Remy Watson, those kids will carry on. And Trayvon Van gave you 93 yards this year. Blake Fronapple gave you 78. And, he plays different positions. So I don't think they're going to miss, Martinez or Van. And it's a shame for those kids. But at the same time, you've got so much more production with Grimm's, Butler, and Watson. I don't think you really want to change that right now.
Yeah, but the backfield coming into the year we knew was deep. And I got the feeling anyway, Paul, about 4 or 5 games into it, I'm sure everybody else did, that we would likely at least see one of those backs transfer at the end of the year, if not both of them. There's just, mathematically, there's just not enough carries to go around for everybody, even if everybody were healthy and productive.
Yeah, you don't want to go too far deep. You got the three-headed monster as it is, and that's been working for you. And you switch players up, trying to fill holes. You put in Van on defense. You're trying to find a position for that kid. I think the writing was on the wall for him.
Do you think Tron Martinez ends up playing somewhere else someday?
If he can get healthy, I don't know, because Marshall can't really see exactly all the details as far as why he was medically disqualified. HIPAA prevents that, and we respect that. But if he's able to bounce back, maybe he looks at 1AA Division II. If there's an opportunity for him, but if he can't play, I think that he should stay at Marshall, get his education, because the scholarship's still there, and that's really the end game for most of these kids, is to get an education. He's
Paul Swan. He's the host of the Insider Sports Line each and every night on WRVC in Huntington. And, of course, Paul, we can follow you where on Twitter?
You can follow me at Paul Swan, and, of course, it's spelled with 2 N's instead of 1, so just to avoid confusion there. So you can follow me there on Twitter. And, Dave, not to steal any of your audience away, but if you go to iTunes or if you go to the Google Play Store, and we did it just for you, we've got the new Super Talk iPhone and Android app where you can listen to us on your phone every day, 4 to 6. And
do you really?
Of course, you go to our website. We've got it all linked right there, supertalk941.com.
You know I wouldn't miss it for the world.
You better not.
Paul Swan hosts the Insider Sports Line on WRVC. Paul, have a good one. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for asking me on.
Paul Swan, host of the Insider Sports Line. And again, the significance of Tron Martinez, Trayvon Van. Again, we won't feel that. It won't be that big of a deal once the 2013 season rolls around. As for DeAndre Kane, it could be tough for the Thundering Herd going up against 11th-ranked Cincinnati this Saturday. Thanks to Paul Swan, my producer Tyler Mertens. I'm Dave Wilson. Thanks for watching. Remember, follow me on Twitter, WVMetro_D Wilson. Email me anytime, dwilson@wvradio.com. See you next week.